Hey folks, another Broken Meeple review, and today, Wavelength. This is a new Wolfgang game, and yes, I know my history with this designer has not been perfect. You know, I wasn't the biggest fan of Ganz Clever, and I despise the Mine, and there's a few other games by him that I mean, Cracks of Quedlinburg was alright, but didn't blow me away. So yeah, okay, I'm not a huge lover of his games, but a party game from him, I thought, okay, this should be interesting. And this one, I just didn't know a lot about it, just suddenly appeared on the scene and got a ton of buzz. Everybody was saying, oh yeah, you gotta try Wavelength, this is pretty sweet. And all I knew about it was that it had this weird contraption in it. And I thought, what on earth are you supposed to do with this? So the idea of Wavelength is that it's essentially like trying to decide where something fits on a scale of like one extreme to another. You split off into two teams, and it's first to 10 points. And the idea is that you take a card which has a double like meaning on it. So, for example, weak, strong. So left is weak, right is strong. You then have one player as a clue giver on your team, spinning this like insane weird contraption around until you tell it to stop. And what it's done is that it's got a segment, a wedge here, where it's got 2 points, 3 points, and 4 points, depending on how close to the middle you get. But what the clue giver does is basically looks at the dial, sees where it is, and then based on the card that they've got, let's take another one, disgusting and delicious cereal, for example. And I look at my thing and I go, let's say I put it here. Somewhere on the right from your perspective. So this is going to be slightly delicious, but not too delicious. So I look at it and think, well, what clue word can I give for that? I suppose I could give Shreddies. I mean, Shreddies is nice. People don't go mad for it, but it's pretty good. But then, for example, if it was all the way over there, I'd be going, well, I mean, come on, Cocoa Pops, chocolate cereals, Frosties, stuff like that, full of sugar and tasty treats. Not good for you, but they're tasty cereal. I mean, to be me, I'd probably have muesli somewhere around there because I do like muesli. But then on the flip side, it could be on this side and like, disgusting cereal. Well, people could I'd put Ready Break because Ready Break is just vomit in a bowl and coloured beige. But it's that sort of thing. It's from your perspective. You then cover the thing over with the shield, and then the rest of your team tries to use the dial to dictate where they think where they think the wedge is. So they think, well, let's say this is the delicious part or something. It's like, well, it's Cocoa Pops. It's going to be pretty delicious, right? Pretty delicious, but maybe not totally. I could think of other stuff. Well, if it was cornflakes, then maybe he's put it on the slight edge, like in the middle, because it's not horrible, but it's not exactly great either. Oh, it's Ready Break, all the way back down here. And basically the whole team, except for the clue giver, debates where they think it's going to be, and the other team can trash talk to their heart's content. They make a guess, it gets revealed, and, they see where they've got on the thing. So, I mean, that would be poor, but if I had somewhere like there, I could get 2, 3, or 4 points. Before they guess, though, the other team has the option when they see, all right, this is the position we've gone for, to say left or right, higher or lower. And if they get it right, they get a bonus point. So they've got something to do when it's not their turn. But that's pretty much it. You get points based on where you fit in this wedge. You get the bonus points for guessing high and low on the opposite team, and that's it. You just carry on until you get first to 10. There's a cool catch-up mechanic with if you're losing and you get the center wedge, you get a bonus go. Really cool. But other than that, it's just a straight-up party game with all these different cards, of which there's quite a lot. I mean, this is not even all of them, and there's quite a big deck here, and that's just the easy ones. There's a deck in there of advanced ones as well, and believe me, they're pretty advanced. But how does this function as a good party game? Is this worth picking up? Let's look in a little bit more detail. Not that there's a huge amount of detail to talk about with this party game, because that's pretty much the game. Duration says 30 to 45 minutes on the box. Pretty accurate, actually. In fact, that's probably going high, actually. I mean, this game could finish in about 10-15 minutes if one team does really, really well. But yeah, you are looking at about that. To explain the rules, to have fun with it, you're talking about 30 minutes, 45 minutes tops, no matter how big your team is. And that's essentially as long as it will take. Shouldn't take an hour. It could take no time at all if one team obliterates the other, in which case you just reset and go again. It's quick. And explaining the rules is pretty straightforward. I mean, if anything, I think the rule book's a little bit too big for what it needs to be, because it goes into detail about, well, I'll cover that in a second, actually. But yeah, 30 to 45 minutes, pretty good, nice, quick party game. It's what you want. And like I say, I think 30 to 45 minutes is actually pushing it for length. I think it's actually a little bit shorter than that at most of the time. So ease of play, as I said, you've got this little rulebook here. It's pretty straightforward as to what clues you're allowed to give. In fact, the restrictions are pretty light, actually. Just basically don't conjure up something out of nowhere. It can be multiple words. It can pretty much be how you like. You know, there's very few restrictions. The rules themselves are pretty straightforward. You know, there's only a few pages of actual rules, but they even, for some reason, have a few pages at the start of the rulebook, which is like trying to tell the game in shorthand version. You know, like literally a sentence with a few pictures, and that's the game. I'm not sure if that was necessarily needed. I mean, I would have preferred that maybe on the back of the box, you know, when you pick up the game off the shelf. But yeah, I don't need that in the rulebook. I need to read the actual rules. But like I say, it's a small book, weird size, weird shape. But as I say, it's a light party game. How much is there to learn? And certainly, it may take one round for people to start clicking. Because when you try to explain the whole dial thing, sometimes they don't get it at first, but then you play one round, it's like, oh, that's what you mean. And then it starts clicking and everybody gets into it. Coming up with a clue word is, you know, pretty straightforward, but, you know, it can be quite hard at times. So going on to tactics and strategy, well, yeah, forget strategy. This is not, to be fair, forget tactics. It's like, you know, does this engage you? Then, yeah, I mean, if you are the guessing team, you've got all this like commotion with each other as to, you know, whether you think, oh, would they put it that high? I mean, this is Dave saying this. You know, would he do this? You know, I mean, if it was Susan over there saying it, I know she hates cornflakes. But this guy, he thinks they're okay. How high do you reckon he'd do it? Come on, how far are we going to twist this? And it's painful trying to think, oh, I want it there. Maybe there. Maybe a bit more, you know, you're constantly like really, it's like safe cracking. It's not like trying to edge this thing as close as you like, trying to think, where is that wedge? And then you reveal it and you realise, wow, that was actually pretty good. Wow, 4 points.
Ah, smug mode. Well,
I'm clairvoyant. Trust me, that was not staged. But it's really engaging to have like your team debate this. Now, this isn't necessarily a game that's going to get you a barrel of laughs while you're playing it, but it's not like dry to the same levels as, say, Codenames, which is like a bone-dry party game in comparison. This one will get some laughs as you are debating with each other and you are engaged, but don't expect this to be like a laugh-out-loud party game like something like Detective Club, for example. This one's more light, engaging, relatively fluffy, but you will get some laughs out of it, particularly as the other team is able to trash talk you. But yeah, it's light and engaging. So aesthetics, there's not a huge amount to say for aesthetics, really. I mean, these cards are pretty basic, but let's face it, what do they need to be? The device, though, which is the main crux of this, is solid, chunky, it works well. This is pretty sturdy. You don't feel like you're going to like leave it and then suddenly it's going to fall off its own axis or something. You know, this is relatively fine. I mean, it comes away and it's quite loose, but the only annoying thing with this is that when you're trying to get it off originally, you might have just noticed it there, accidentally nudge this, because this is easy to, you know, spin around, but it's also easy to accidentally spin off its thing when you put the handle up. You need to just take a little bit of care when you're operating this to make sure you don't accidentally nudge it. But the idea with this is that it's designed so that you can play it in the box. It's not that necessary, really. I mean, you've got a couple of like cheap looking standees here for the points. That's pretty cool, you know, that you can put a little head in it and that dictates the points for each team. I like that, fine. You've got a little standee here for the card. So that goes, whoop, don't know if you can see it that well, but yeah, that stands up in there. And then the idea is that you should be able to have this facing your team like so. So you can basically play it out of the box, which is fine. It's a gimmick, but you don't even need to do it that way, but it works nicely. Although constantly having to pick up this box and go, right, you have it over there, and now you team get to see it, and then all this, and it's like, it gets a little bit fiddly over the time, but it's nice that they at least thought of it, and it does work. I mean, you can just have it there sitting there, and people can just stare at it without you having to sit there and go, and run the risk of somebody accidentally nudging it. But yeah, it's a pretty basic affair, but it looks cool. If anything, the most colourful aspect is probably the box cover, which, like I say, you would not know what on earth this game was about when you see the title Wavelength and see the psychedelic cover. You know, I looked at this and did not expect anything like this. But okay, fine. You know, I get the meaning with Wavelength, but if you saw that box cover, would you imagine I was going to describe a party game like this with a weird contraption? It's like, no, you would not even have ever guessed it. Immersion, just to sort of quickly, I mean, I kind of talked about this with the tactics and strategy thing. You're immersed. It's good and engaging, although if you're one of those quiet people that doesn't like to join in the conversation as much or isn't easy with like big groups, maybe this isn't the game for you because you really want to get involved in the discussion. It's fun when you do. It's, you know, you've got to be able to come up with a half decent clue when it's your turn. So if you're not comfortable with that, then maybe not for you as well. But if you're on the opposite team when the other team's having a go, then you can just trash talk them as much as you like. You know, it's not, you know, you're trying to put them off. People do it in code names all the time. There's no rule saying you can't. So I say, do it. Have fun. Go with it. But yeah, I mean, theme-wise, it's a party game. It's a party game with a weird dial on it. But it's cool how the dial thing works because it's just that whole thing of where on the scale do you think it is? I mean, it's hot. Okay, it's hot. You said coffee. Well, coffee's pretty hot, but we're not talking like the sun or lava or anything like that. We're just talking a little bit of coffee, and it gets you engaged. And like I say, it's only a 30-minute game. How much do you need to keep engaged for 30 minutes? And then longevity. Longevity's pretty solid. I mean, you've got a lot of these cards. You know, if I try to get them all out of the box, all of these cards, I mean, there's a ton of them here. They're all double-sided. This is just the normal deck. You know, you could probably make your own cards if you really wanted. I don't see why not. You know, just make a bunch of cards and have an extreme and a down extreme. But then if you want the advanced deck, it's a bit smaller, as you can see, but all double-sided as well. And believe me, it gets pretty advanced. Yeah, I mean, some of the normal ones here. We got rough, smooth, round, pointy, sad, happy movie, scary, nice animal, short-lived, long-lived, smells bad, smells good, snack, meal, soft, hard, square, round, stupid, brilliant, good superpower, bad superpower, unbelievable, believable. You know, there's some really cool stuff in here. But if you want the advanced stuff, you've got overrated and underrated game. Where do you think I'd put Great Western Trail? Huh? Yeah, you knew I wanted to make a little dig of that.
You're going to burn in a very special level of hell.
Although, Concordia, hate! You mother do that. I had to throw that in there. Person you could beat up, person you'd beat you up. I mean, that's a pretty obscure one. Nerd, jock, blue-green, worst chore, best chore. Won't live to 100, will live to 100. Tick-tock, one-hit wonder pop icon, liberal, Democrat, you know, small number, large number, local issue, global issue, dictatorship, democracy, bad investment, true, false. There's a lot of hard ones in there, you know, if you really want to test the brain cells. But there's a ton of them in there. There's no reason that, you know, if you enjoy this mechanic, this will last you a good long while, and it will cater to multiple groups. Because yes, if you play with the same people, you'll get that little metagame going of, oh yeah, I know Luke, he'll be like this. You know, he's bound to say that this is an overrated game because I know he hates it. That's what he's doing. You know, and you get that. But even if you play with complete strangers, it still works fine. And, you know, you get into that, you're trying to get into that person's head and think, why would you put cornflakes? And you let your own beliefs get in the way. You know, they'll say like, you know, oh yeah, cornflakes not that bad, it's fine, it's fine. Then you find out the person despises cornflakes. It can work. It works with all groups. So this should definitely give you, you know, your money's worth. And it's not that expensive a game because really you're pretty much just paying for this contraption. So, all in all, it's a fun party game. You know, this is definitely, I think, my favourite game Wolfgang Walsh has brought out. You know, I like it better than Quacks. I like it better than, well, to be fair, I like Diarrhea more than The Mind. You're sick! You're sick! Why would you do that? And, you know, I like it better than Ganschlon Clever and his other games. I think this is my favourite that he's done. Although I think he co-designed it with a few other designers as well. I believe Wolfgang Walsh, Alex Haig, and Justin Vickers. So, yeah, there's a couple of other designers in there. But, yeah. You know, fair play. This is a solid party game, and I'm going to keep it on my shelf. I think it will, you know, there are other party games that I prefer because they bring out the laughter more, but this one is still light, engaging, and super fast and easy to teach, which is a plus point. You know, there's not a lot of those out there. I would play this hands down over Codenames any day, if you know, if you want to compare the party games to each other. the different mechanics, but it's team versus team, and there's something to, like, you know, oh, what are they trying to say by that clue? So I suppose there's similarities there, but yeah, I'd play this in a heartbeat over Codenames. It's quicker, there's more interaction, there's more noise, you know, there's no like bounce of silence like there is in Codenames. So my final word on Wavelength is that this is a strong entry-level party game. It's got a simple premise with simple rules and a short duration that can cater for any number of players and any given setting. It may not generate the laughter that you're expecting from certain party games, but it will certainly generate the engagement. Definitely one to check out if, like me, you're a fan of just a good party every now and again. So I would give this one a solid 8 out of 10 overall and a definite seal of approval. So that's it for me. I'll see you on the next Broken Meeple video, and regardless of whatever size party you've got, as long as you just have a good time, it's still only a game. So just go and have fun. Take care, and I'll see you next time.